Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are here with another Hunter x Hunter review and breakdown, and today we are here with episode 98, 99, and 100. First off, I am blown away to be at episode 100. When I started this, all the way on episode 1, did a live reaction format, got smacked in the face with copyright, and then jumped on to this review format. It's been a journey. And we've got 48 episodes left. We're 2/3 of the way through the series, and I feel insane about it. But without enough rambling, let's just jump right into the next episode. So episode 98 kicks off with these three collapsing from being chased by hunters. I finally know two of their names. Big Lion Daddy over there is Hagya, and that's Flutter on the floor. I forgot her name. I'm trying, man. There's a lot of names. But they basically collapse as they arrive at Meruem's palace. And they basically swear allegiance to Meruem and the Royal Guard. And they basically save them from the hunters. We jump immediately over to Gon and Killua sneaking in to East Gorteau. Did I pronounce that right? Gorteau? They put their clothes on and they start going through some woods. And as they're going through, we get a long ass explanation of the state of East Gorteau. It turns out that, information is like as good as money there. If you have a lot of good information, you can live wealthy. The poor live poor, the wealthy live wealthy. And it's just, the whole country is just a mess. But like, if you end up giving some like bad information, you can end up getting executed. Like it's wild. They happen upon a village, and Killua decides to sneak around because they need to get information on the country they're in. What people usually wear, how they usually act. The more information they can stay under the radar. But they get there and there's nobody there. They go inside and they see bloodstains all over the floor. It turns out that the Chimera ants are already selectively eradicating humans. They follow the blood trail and they find a shallow grave full of bodies that have been eaten by wild dogs. And Killua starts going through what he thinks the Chimerans are doing. Basically, Pito is using her ability to control all of the soldiers from the military of East Gorteau, and from one side to the other, they're going village by village and basically screening people, and whoever they don't want ends up dying and never ends up making it to the capital. And because everybody's going to the capital at different times, there's no crisscross of information that people are just getting wiped out. So thousands of people are just dying. Killua comes up with a plan to try and disrupt this. Basically, if they can take out the soldiers being controlled and warn everybody, tell them what's going on, he can cause a riot, which would slow down what the ants are trying to do. So that's what Killua ends up going off to do. Gon and Killua actually split up. Before Killua leaves Gon, he tells Gon that even if Gon sees, people being slaughtered, that he needs to stay hidden. That the whole point of this job, the whole mission, requires them to be stealth. Killua can keep himself invisible, but while doing the things he wants to do, raise the riots and whatnot, but at least Gon has to stay at 100% hidden. And considering Go's take on murder, that's a huge ask for him. So he basically yells at Gon before he ends up leaving. Turns out they're actually being followed by this guy. We've seen this chameleon chimera ant around. I know his name. It's I'm gonna butcher this. Okay, so his name is Meleoron. I think that's the best way to pronounce it. Still, I feel like I'm absolutely butchering it. But he ends up following Gon after he realizes that Killua and Gon split up. He actually wants nothing to do with Killua. Killua is scared shitless. And honestly, I'm not surprised. Killua is like a whole different person right now. And through the next couple episodes, we see some of the actions he takes where he is just so full of confidence and so full of strength. It's amazing to see the character development. Now we go over to Morel and Nove. And we see them with this general. And they made a deal with this general to basically get all the information they could on the king, not Meruem, the king, the human king. and he's going to basically tell them all this dude's dirty laundry, all the terrible things this guy's done, in exchange for getting this guy and his family out of the country. Moro thinks this guy's a scumbag because he's a part of it too, but a deal's a deal, and they need the information. We shoot over to Knuckle and Shoot, and Shoot's basically giving the same lecture to Knuckle because Knuckle wants to try and save some people, but Shoot's basically explaining to them that this mission requires stealth, and that if they get found out, they could end up killing the entire human race, because once the Chimera start taking over, it's a wrap for everybody. We go back over to Gon, and he's eating an apple, and he gets attacked by this snake Chimera ant, and he tries to wrap Gon up, crushes a tree, uses his tail and all his muscles like a spring and bounces around and manages to get Gon. And we actually get to see just how strong Gon is after all the training he's done, because Gon does this, as far as I can tell, without using any nen. He is able to force this snake Chimera ant's grip open, and able to jump over it easily 15 feet into the air and knock this thing out with one punch without ever using any nen. And as he's about to calm down from the fight, he gets attacked by a bat and an owl Chimera ant, and that's where the episode ends. So now on to episode 99. It opens up with Gon in the middle of this fight. Now, the way that these two are very coordinated with their attacks, right before the bat attacks, Gon can't see them that well because it's super dark, but he's using his ears, and he can hear the bat's wings, but right before the bat hits, the owl's hitting him with feathers just enough to throw him off so the bat can land a clean hit. Now, the interesting thing about that is, I don't know if you guys know this, but owls actually fly silently because of certain kind of feathers they have. So with the bat making a lot of noise and the owl being able to basically stay silent, they're throwing Gon off left and right. Gon starts using his aura to defend himself, so now the owl's attacks aren't really doing anything, and he tries to counter the bat, but the bat is using supersonics to see Gon and dodge his attacks. Well, Gon, being the straightforward thinker that he is, charges up a Jajan Ken, and as the bat attacks him, he basically baits the bat into a dive bomb because the bat wants to attack him without making any noise. And right as Gon dodges it, instead of punching her, he just yells in her ear and just messes up her hearing. And I just immediately got flashes of Uwagin when Uwagin killed that Phantom Beast by yelling in its ear. She tries to fly away all discombobulated, and he actually does a paper shot, and it gets blocked by a rock. And we see that the owl apparently is part gorilla and turned into a giant hulking gorilla monster with owl feathers. So now they change up their tactics. Now the owl Chimera ant is now attacking Gon straight up, with the bat far away attacking Gon with sonic attacks. So now they switch places. Whereas one was doing close range, one was doing long range. Now it's the opposite. Gon tries to not use his ears as much, so the sonic attacks don't hurt him as much. And he tries to use Gyo, but the owl is able to use Zetsu because they're animals. They already know how to hide their presence. And he starts using Nen in his feathers to fool Gon's Gyo. They get a couple good licks on Gon, but then Gon has a big brain moment where this mother picks up a whole tree that's been knocked over, and swings it at the owl. But the owl dodges it, and he thinks, he dodged Gon's attack. Gon uses the momentum and keeps on swinging it, and with all the air force of it, basically does a giant air shot at the bat, because he was tracking them, realizing that they're always, on opposite sides of each other, so they don't end up attacking each other, especially in the dark. Well, the air that Gon launched with this tree was enough to blow back the sonic attack from the bat, and because of echolocation, it bounced off of the wall behind her, making her think that there was a wall directly in front of her. So she freaked out, but went flying into the wall behind her. Gon jumps up, hits her once, she's done. Now it's Gon versus the owl, and Gon doesn't waste any time, charges up a Jajan Ken, hits that dude once, sends them flying in the opposite direction of the border. Well, send them toward the border, away from the palace, so they can't go warn anybody. And Gon goes off. we jump over to Killua and we see what Killua's doing, and he's enacting his plan. You know, he's taking out the guards. He's telling everybody about what's going on, and they're starting to believe him. Well, Pito is the only one that realizes what's going on, and he don't like that. He realizes somebody's messing with his soldiers, and he's just like, I want to kill this person. So he has a meeting with the other royal guards about what to do, and then we see Hagya and crew roll in, except now he's changed his name to Leo. And they dispatch them to go deal with whoever's messing with Pito's puppets. I guess Shao-Poof was able to give them brand new Nen abilities, and now with the new knowledge of their new Nen abilities, they're going off to try and stop Killua. We go back over to Knuckle and Shoot, and Knuckle is able to sense Cheetu through his APR, and it turns out that Cheetu is actually running in their direction. He surmises that Cheetu must be heading to the palace to, you know, meet up with the king and rejoin the king and all them, and Knuckle decides that he wants to stop Cheetu because Cheetu is a squad leader, a lot stronger than the regular ants, and I guess every squad leader ant that all the hunters have come in contact with have actually managed to avoid capture, which is kind of crazy. Moral and Nove get a call from that general. He's freaking out because he hears about all the rumors that are getting spread about all the people that are dying, and Moral and Nove, you know, try to calm him down, tell him just go back, we'll deal with it. And after they're done talking to this guy, an alarm goes off, basically getting everybody's attention to listen to the radio, listen to the news, all eyes on the TVs, and the king appears. But we already know the king's dead, so he's being controlled by Pito, telling everybody that this is fake, it's not real, don't listen to it, and basically puts the entire country under martial law, which is going to allow the soldiers into their houses to look for these so-called rioters, you know, insurgents. And the last thing we see is Killua, all sweaty from running city to city, and he says the coolest line I think he's ever said. He's like, I don't care if it's tanks, I don't care if it's airships, send whatever you want at me, I'll take them all out. We have never seen Killua with this much confidence. He's ready to take on an entire army, and I am here for it. My boy is a beast right now. Now, on to episode 100, it opens up with Knuckle and Shoot going to intercept Cheetu. Except, for whatever reason, Cheetu veers off from the course. Knuckle freaks out for a second. He's like, there's no way he could have known we were here. He wasn't in range to sense our Nen. APR wasn't counting down yet. We had time before we did. And we were downwind, so he didn't smell us. They look up and they see Flutter flying above them. I guess Flutter saw them and told Cheetu. He didn't need to, but he did. And now Cheetu feels like he owes Leo a favor, which becomes an important thing later. Killua's having trouble now. He's still taking out soldiers, but nobody believes him. After the announcement from the king, they all think he's full of shit. I mean, he just said he wasn't saying that the king was dead, but now the king is appearing on TV. So obviously, he's not being real. He's not legit. We jump back over to Cheetu. Cheetu's now with Leo. He's thanking him for, you know, the warning. And Leo can see APR floating with Cheetu, and he offers to get rid of it as long as Cheetu swears allegiance to the king. And they go back and forth with some interesting dialogue, and Cheetu makes a point to notice that he feels like Leo still wants to reclaim his title as king of the jungle. And honestly, the way he's acting, I can see it too. He's like trying to get everybody to owe him favors and whatnot. Killua realizes he's being followed by Flutter, because Flutter manages to see him. I guess Pito was tracking Killua through the puppets that he was stopping, and basically told Leo and crew where to go. With Flutter now seeing over him, he jumps into a jungle and tries to hide. And Flutter sends a bunch of weaker soldier ants after Killua, and we get to see Killua just go ham. Like, he jumps up in the air. He jumps through a tree, literally through the tree, cuts through the tree, takes off a Chimera ant's arms and head all in the same shot. He jumps up above with a bunch of literally like 6 other Chimera ants, and literally just starts breaking their necks, pulling their heads off. Like, he just destroys all of them. The last one is one on the ground on top of a giant. I think it was a boulder or a spinning Chimera ant, and Killua goes after her because he's like, you must be the leader, and it basically farts at him and makes a giant explosion, and Killua just gets pissed off. Killua starts chasing after him when he gets hit in the head with what he thinks is a bullet, but then he pulls it off and it's a giant flea, and then he gets hit with another one, except wherever these things hit, after he pulls them off, it just starts bleeding like crazy. Not like squirting, but just like leaking down his body. Turns out that there's a guy like super far away who is using a pressurized air cannon, and he's shooting Killua with these flea bullets to cause Killua to start bleeding excessively. I guess this guy's working in tandem with Flutter. Flutter's giving him like all the coordinates, all the angles to shoot him at, and he's just landing ridiculous shots, trying to cause as much blood to flow from Killua as possible to drain his stamina. Well, Killua, being the big brain that he is, decides to start flexing his aura, and then we actually hear from the narrator that Killua was never able to figure out N. Turns out he's not good at being able to increase his aura and push it out to be able to sense incoming attacks and whatnot, like Nobunaga and other people were able to do. But he's able to release a very small amount of it, and if something touches it, he can sense it, but it's pretty much like only a few centimeters from his actual body. So he does that, the shot comes in, except he lets it hit him. So that way he can triangulate where the shot's coming from, and he takes off super fast out of the woods. He manages to find the sniper, and he chases the sniper away. We cut over to Gon, and Gon is now in a desert. And he went to the desert on purpose so he can see in every direction, no trees in the way, and he could see on the ground the steps of somebody following him. Turns out somebody was following him this whole time. And this is when Meleoron comes out. And basically he tells Gon that he's been following Gon, and at first Gon's like, okay, are you going to attack me? He's like, no, I want your help. And he knows that Gon is there to assassinate the king, and he thinks that Gon will be a powerful ally. And that's the last we get to see of their exchange. Now when it comes to Killua manages to follow the sniper into a hole, and the sniper even says it's a trap. Come on if you dare. And as the sniper jumps down, with no hesitation, and this is huge, no hesitation, Killua literally jams his finger into this dude's head and snaps his neck. So yeah, I was honestly surprised to see Killua go for the kill so quick, but like I said, he's like a whole different person. He has no hesitation left in him, and it's honestly quite amazing. Like, once he pulled that pin out of his head, he was just free to be himself. And that made him a better hunter. Hell, it made him a better assassin. But it's neither here nor there. So, the body that he killed, turns out wasn't really the one shooting at him. It was a body being controlled. And as soon as he kills the body, tentacles erupt from the inside of it and wrap themselves around him. And we see the body drop into the water, and there was a pool of water at the bottom of the cave. And as soon as the water hits there, a bunch of like fish hybrid chimeras attack it and tear it to pieces. They try to make it look like Killua was in there, but it turns out it was their boss's just his meat suit. They tried to stop themselves from attacking, but I guess they couldn't. Kind of crazy. We see what happened with Killua. It turns out he cut off some of the tentacles of the octopus that tried to grab him and used them to stick to the wall. And we actually get to see the octopus that was inside that thing. This guy. This is Ikago. I hope I said that right. And he is the one Killua was about to fight. And that's where episode 100 ended. I actually laughed really hard at this guy's character design. But that's it for this breakdown, guys. I know it felt super fast, super furious, but honestly not a whole lot happened in these episodes. It was mostly just a lot of explanation and a lot of setup, because it's I think the first of 10 days leading up to the extermination of the king and the royal guard. Still, there were some pretty awesome scenes. We got to see Killua show off. Gon got to fight. So all in all, it wasn't a bad set of episodes, but again, we have finally made it to episode 100. But that's it for me, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, drop a like, subscribe if you're new. We are still on our way to 300, and we are getting there, and I'm excited. But that's it for me, guys, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.